Hey guys, John here, Big John TV. Welcome back. I got another grilling recipe for you today. We are going to do spare ribs. This is everything I got laid out. This is all we're going to need today. Rack of spare ribs. I am going to share a recipe out of a cookbook today. This is Weber's Charcoal Grilling, The Art of Cooking with Live Fire by Jamie Proviance. This is just the basic barbecue dry rub. If you use this recipe for any meat, you'll be solid. You can add things, you can subtract things, but starting here would be a great idea. We've got 4 teaspoons of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and half a teaspoon of black pepper. All measured out, all ready to go. We're going to put it into the bowl. Just with the regular fork, make sure it's all mixed together. The brown sugar's not clumpy. You can get in there with your fingers. So there it is. That's your basic barbecue dry rub. We're going to put that there. We're going to get the meat trimmed up. We're going to get it seasoned up, and then we're going to get it cooking. Okay guys, here we are. You got this is a pork spare rib out of the package. This is what you're going to find most of the time when you buy it at a grocery store. This one got a little bit messed up from the packaging plant, but whatever, we'll take care of that. The first step I like to do when I'm getting ribs for dinner, I like to trim them down to what's called a St. Louis style. If you look right here, you can see this line of fat that separates out basically right here where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. The back side here, there's a big knuckle bone that's right here. This is all boneless meat on the top, and then you got your rack of 12, 13, maybe 14 bones in a row right there. So with a nice good sharp knife, I like to go underneath this big knuckle, and then basically you're just going to draw a line straight across, and if we flip it back over, you can see that's basically about where it's going to run across. So with a good sharp knife, all the way across. Now this piece does not get thrown away. This gets cooked with the ribs or saved for beans or whatever else you want to do with it. Sausage making. Got a lot of good meat there, so it's definitely not garbage. When you trim it down to St. Louis, basically what you do is you allow for more even cooking throughout the rib and a little bit quicker cooking time on that rack. So to finish off prepping this rack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square up the ends again for the same thing. Just clean it up a bit, make it easier to deal with while it's on the grill. The next big tip that I'm going to talk about is the membrane on the back of the ribs. Every rack of ribs has what's called a membrane. It is a thin layer. It's almost like tape on the back side of the ribs. That's not good eating. You really want to try to get that off as best you can. Some stores, some companies will remove that for you. Some of them won't. So what you want to do is with a butter knife or a spoon, find a little spot on the back of a bone and get in there the best you can. Now you see that little layer right there. And it pulls off. It's kind of a pain. If you wanted to be lazy, there are ways around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you both methods here. I'm going to show you, and see this one may have already been taken off by the store, and that's the tricky part. You don't ever really fully know. It's kind of hard to tell. So if you don't know, and you want to assume there is one, this is the next method I like to do, especially for home cooking. Again, with that good sharp knife, score the back of the ribs. Now what this is going to do is, if that membrane is still there, it'll loosen it up for you. It'll make it so that when you take a bite of your rib at the end of the cook, there's not going to be a layer of tape on the backside holding together. So there we go. That is a rack of now St. Louis trimmed pork spare ribs. So from this point now, we're going to season. The first step I like to do when seasoning my ribs is yellow mustard. Just plain yellow mustard. Give it a line on the backside, and we're rubbing it in. Same on the top. One line. Some people use mustard. They say it's a binder. It helps the rub stick to the meat. I believe it. I think just a little bit of that vinegar and the salt and the flavors that come with the mustard, it balances it out. It's got a good flavor profile on the meat too, so why not? We'll go ahead and season these up as well. Same thing. Just treat these the same as a rack of ribs if you're going to cook them at the same time. They'll get put on the grill too. So now, with that dry rub that I showed you guys earlier, all we're going to do is sprinkle it on. If you're trying a rub for the first time, you've never tasted it before, I like to go on the light side of it. You can always add more, and you can always add other spices and flavors and sauces at the end. But if you overdo it with the rub, you might have ruined your rack of ribs. So give it a nice little coating. Cover them up. Well, I've got this one here on the board. Let's go ahead and same thing with it. Alright, so that's where we're at with these. Now again, you can let these sit. You could wrap them up and in the fridge overnight. You could cook them right now. It's all personal preference. There's no right or wrong on that. So once we're ready to go, these are going to hit the grill. Okay guys, fire's ready to dump. Again, I used the Weber wax starter cube on these to get the charcoal going. About 3/4 of the way full on the chimney. Tonight I'm using a combination of royal oak briquettes and some more of the Kingsford cherry wood briquettes. So once they're grayed over and ready to go, filling up the baskets. Not quite as much charcoal this time. I will be aiming for a little bit of a lower temperature, between 250 and 300. So once that's in, we're ready to go. Give it a quick scrub. Okay, we'll go grab that rack of ribs. We'll get them cooking. Alright guys, back outside. Charcoal's all ready to go. We're going to take the rack of rib and the extra chunk here. This one's going to go on the back side. And then right down in the middle. Again, this is indirect grilling. The charcoal's off to the side, the meat's in the middle. We're not cooking directly over the coals. I don't have full giant baskets of hot coals this time, so the fire's going to be hopefully around 250 to 300. I don't want to go crazy on the temperature on these ones. Little chunk there. I'm going to add some wood chunks at this point. My preferred go-to wood for most barbecue, but especially for pork, is going to be apple. Western brand premium barbecue products. You can find these at most grocery stores, Walmarts, they all have them. I'm going to take a nice big chunk of apple wood and I'm going to put it in. I'm not going to go crazy with the wood. I don't want it to taste like a campfire. But the apple wood flavor profile with the pork is really nice. It balances it out really well. So now that it's burning, We're going to close the lid. Again, keeping the vent in the middle so that the smoke and the heat have to come up and over and then out. And we're cooking. They're going to stay here just like this between 45 minutes and an hour. We'll come back and check them at that point and see where they're at. Alright, it's been about an hour. Temperatures between 300 and 400 degrees, a little bit hotter than I was expecting it to be, but that's okay. Like I said before, the meat's not right over the coals. It's offset, it's indirect. I don't care, it's okay. So opening it up, there's where we're at. It's got a great color. It's got the smoke, you can see it's taking it in. It's looking great. Now this next step is going to be my top secret step. Sharing with you guys now. Aluminum foil. We're going to put a bed of just straight brown sugar into the foil. We're going to put a little bit of agave syrup. You could use honey, you could use agave, you could use nothing. None of this is like, you don't have to, right? So just a little bit. And parquet squeezed butter. Same thing, just a line or two. So we're adding moisture, we're adding sweetness, we're adding fat. We're reintroducing all of those things back into this meat. So we're going to take the rack of ribs, we're going to put it meat side down into the foil. And now the same thing again on the back side. The brown sugar. A line of agave or two. And the parquet again, same thing. So now that we've added all that, we're going to wrap the ribs. We're going to wrap them tight in this aluminum foil, creating a seal so that the moisture, the steam, and all those flavors will stay. And now it's going to go back onto the grill. At this point, we'll be on there for another half hour to 45 minutes at that temperature. We're going to come back and check it again from there. Alright, it's been about a half hour, 45 minutes later. Coming to check on it. Still about 325 on the temperature. The foil process of these ribs is what really helps them tenderize and moisturize, and the steaming action of all those juices in the foil. But it's also important to not overdo it, because if you overdo it at this point, you won't be able to pick them up. They'll just fall apart. And fall off the bone ribs are okay for eating at home. You wouldn't want to do that in a contest, but you also don't want to be, you don't want to just have a pile of mush. So let me open them up. Ooh, you can see that steam coming out and all the juices in there. Now you see how the bones are sticking out just a little bit all the way across. That's a good indicator that the meat is tender and where they're supposed to be. So what I'm going to do now, taking them out of the foil, I'm going to sit them right here for just a second. I'm going to try and save this juice to use for mopping onto the ribs here in just a minute. So doing the best I can to not spill or burn myself. Not going to put it all in there, just a little bit. Can turn these ribs over. You see that nice color to them. Those look great. So now, this is the sauce I'm going to use today. We got Kinder's California Gold Barbecue Sauce. Kinder's Barbecue is based out of Walnut Creek, California. You can find locations all throughout the Bay Area, even as far as Reno and other parts in California. But the sauce is a great product. They have great sauces and rubs. And so since I made the rub from scratch, I'll be lazy and use some sauce out of a bottle. I'm going to mix it in with that juice, the drippings there. Now taking my grill brush, mixing it up, we're going to baste that meat. Give it a nice shine, a nice glaze all the way across. So now that they're sauced and shiny, I'm going to shut the lid again. We're going to go 30 more minutes at just like this to get that sauce set, get it a little bit caramelized, and we'll be right back. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes after we sauced them and took them out of the foil on the grill there. Here they are. We're done. We're ready to slice and start eating. So taking a good sharp knife again. Sharp knives are always the key. Now you can see the smoke ring, the juices of the meat. And these were super easy, nice, you know, backyard style, solid ribs. And again, you see the meat's not falling off the bone. You want them to have a little bit of a bite to them. Just like that. At this point, you can add more sauce to them if you want. I think good barbecue doesn't need sauce, but if having it on the side, having it as an option, you know, they got the glaze from on the grill, so that's, I mean, the rub, the sauce, the smoke, everything should play off of each other, and that's all they should need right there. So here we go. All right, now that they're all cut up and ready to go, let's give them a bite. Perfect bite. Nice, clean, not falling off the bone. That's a great rub flavor. A little bit of sauce, you can taste the smoke. These are excellent. Give them a try. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for tuning into our channel. Make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment, share it with your friends. Give me some more ideas of what you'd like me to cook for you, and I'll make it happen. Thanks again, Big John TV.